Welcome back as we're continuing to explore stelliums in astrology charts, more specifically super stelliums, as here we have a super Libra soul. This particular chart is dated October 6th, 1974. I will put that in the video notes. And we're going to go into what this means for these Libra energies that are here to have a master lifetime in developing and expressing Libra energies. So right away, we see that there are 5 planets in Libra: Venus, Pluto, Sun, Mars, Uranus. Now, they are not all conjunct. In fact, they're spread out across the 30 degrees of Libra, and we actually have planets here in each of the 3 decans of the sign. So we can see that, yes, they are spread across the Libra placements, and there are 2 conjunctions, 2 close conjunctions with Venus conjunct Pluto and the Sun conjunct Mars. Now, when you have one astrology sign that's strongly featured like this, the soul has chosen to experience the vastness of this sign, to become an expert, if you will, and to develop what it means as the sun embodies that sign. Now, the sun in Libra conjunct Mars is going to bring in more of a desire to communicate, actively work with, and be in perhaps even more dynamic connections with Mars. Mars is not strong in Libra, but Mars is conjunct the sun. So this activates more of one's desire to be in motion on a daily basis, to be a leader, to take on things with others. Mars brings in more of a desire to make something happen, and this is going to activate the Libra energy in ways that it might not always be comfortable with. There could be a stronger push-pull. What do I move towards? What do I do? How do I show up as myself? But that Mars energy, because it has more of that action and desire to be in the physical reality, the physical movement of Mars, this is someone who wants to get things done, who will initiate and will exhibit more leadership qualities with a strong Mars. Now, this could also be in Libra, someone who will argue their point, who will say, this is what I think. I will weigh the pros and cons, but Mars will fight for something. And Mars in Libra is going to actively engage with people to figure out a solution and to move towards new information. Even more aggressive communications can be in play here. This could be someone who enjoys the debate club. Quite honestly, this could be a very passionate lawyer or an advocate or someone who will take a stand for others. This could be an agent who negotiates the deal, who doesn't let it go, who wants to move it forward and get it done. So that Mars placement is strong here, which is interesting in Libra. Now, the other strong energies we have in this chart are generational influences, with this Uranus in Libra and Pluto in Libra. This means it's millions of people who were born with these outer planets also in Libra are changing up the Libra qualities and the power and evolution of Libra expressions. Now, again, this chart is in 1974, which is part of Gen X. Gen X started in the 60s. So some people who are a part of that generation would actually have these planets in Virgo. But looking at where Pluto is and Uranus is in Libra and relating it to Gen X, this was the generation that had parents who were not around, perhaps parents who had divorces or split, parents who were modeling, or rather not modeling, relationships in a typical fashion. When Pluto is in a sign, it signifies that this is a group of people, a generation of millions who are learning very big lessons around being empowered in relationships and what that means, what that looks like. Pluto is where we experience our most intense life experiences and where things change and shift beyond what we would choose consciously or what we want. This Pluto is the soul's journey in learning more about relational dynamics, what it looks like to be in relationships where there is equal giving and receiving, healthy communication, people working together as a team, people being aware of each other's needs and actively relating in that place. With Pluto here and Uranus here, that wasn't modeled. Or rather, that is where the energies are meant to change and evolve throughout one's lifetime. And it means that this strong Libra moves through some turbulent relationship experiences in order to better understand the self, where there is perhaps multiple relationships or different parts of one's journey that continue to highlight what are good, healthy relationships for me? Where am I able to assert, conjunct Mars, assert who I am and what I need, and also receive and understand who other people are? Venus being here conjunct Pluto is a very strong indicator that this is a lifetime of changing up old relationship dynamics that were based on power, control, and manipulation. And it is personal. It's personal to this individual's self-esteem, an understanding of her worth, and that perhaps there have been many experiences that were intense, emotional, and passionate in the higher expressions that felt like, yes, this person really gets me, we're really connected, this is where I want to go with this person, we're on the same team. But perhaps that also has shown them the lower expressions of energies that were more traumatic, abusive, obsessive, not being able to let someone go, not being able to let a relationship go, staying in the power dynamics that then triggers one's own unconscious power dynamics, and having to work through that. The higher expression of all this is becoming an expert at relationships, becoming highly aware of how you are showing up, what you're pulling in and experiencing, what you're learning from it, and then how to use that to benefit others and to offer more wisdom to other people, whether that is through friendship groups or in a professional capacity. So with Venus conjunct Pluto, one of the main areas of life here is in understanding how you've learned to get your needs met through other people, whether you communicate or hold back. There can be passive aggressive tendencies here. This is learning about healthy communication with a strong Libra energy. And it's understanding too that you might feel that you're meant to do it differently with Uranus in Libra. Uranus in Libra brings in new relationship dynamics and modeling of what it could be that honors the individual, that honors who you are, but isn't locked in to previous modeling or previous programming. This energy here of Uranus in Libra is wanting more autonomy, sovereignty, freedom, perhaps feeling, well, I don't want partnership, or I don't want to work with people too much. And yet that's one of the big lessons here. That's one of the big areas of expertise that the Libra energy is here to understand. And so this Uranus can create a push-pull. I want people, I don't want people. I want them to know me, I don't want them to know me. You bring in this Pluto conjunct the ruling planet Venus, because Venus rules Libra, and you've got an interesting mix here of who are the right people for me. The conjunction to Mars means you got to learn to be discerning and to truly weigh the pros and cons, to give it time to have those really good conversations. And we also have this Mercury over here in intuitive Scorpio that wants to get to the heart of the matter. And this Mercury in Scorpio has conviction and has a sense of, well, I know what I've been through. I'm never doing that again. I'm very clear on what I want and what I don't want. I feel that this Mercury in Scorpio strengthens all of the Libra energies, because the Libra energies, they can be very aware of the pros and cons to the point that you don't make a decision. But Mercury in Scorpio wants a decision, wants it to be clear in what choice is best for you, and what you're not doing again and what you don't like. This is an opinionated Mercury in Scorpio. It might also be not very trusting and suspicious of people, suspicious of their intentions, or, just wanting to know more about someone before you bring them in too close or allow them into your world. Now, also in this chart, we have a moon in Gemini, which heightens the curiosity and intelligence. This moon in Gemini works nicely with the planets in Libra here and wants to discuss, share, write down, read. This is the desire to have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge. We can see there is a lot of air sign energy in this chart, not only because of the stellium, but because of that moon in Gemini, which is one's personal energy on a daily basis. So now we're going to pull in more dynamics in the chart here where, okay, we understand that this is a relationship lifetime, working through power dynamics, owning one's sovereignty and what one needs in relationships, a desire and willingness to do it differently in this lifetime. But we also have some other factors in play here which contribute to the relationship journey. Now, one that shows up strongly is the Saturn at 18 degrees of Cancer squaring the Sun and Mars. Now, this Saturn in Cancer always brings our attention to that early home life and which parents were present or absent. If we were to assume that this is someone who is a part of what we call maybe the typical Gen X journey, then there was a split or a divorce that happened in early childhood that changed the relational dynamics with a parent. And maybe this is the father, it could be the mother, but there would have been more of a focus on one parent, perhaps, or even a sense of separating out one's needs and having to mature quickly in your emotional foundation. And that's what the Saturn in Cancer generation experienced. I have a separate video for you here on YouTube that goes through more of the specifics of those who have Saturn in Cancer squaring Pluto in Libra. That's not quite this chart because they're out of orb from each other. But some of you born around the same time frame might have a more direct square to this Pluto in Libra. So I just want to mention that other chart video. But with Saturn in Cancer squaring the Sun and Mars in Libra, that definitely was a foundational imprint for relationships and where you learned to be more emotionally self-sufficient, to not open up emotionally, to not be vulnerable. There could be a fear of, why would I share more of who I am if they're just going to leave? There could be something within one's self-concept that is about, this is the part of myself I lock away and I handle on my own. And I don't want to recreate my early childhood experiences that deeply impacted how I perceive relationships, sharing, cooperation. The Saturn square can have a developmental effect on one's psyche. This can be an excessive people pleaser. I will do what they need. I will repress my needs in order to keep the relationship, in order to keep the connection, because I don't want them to leave. There can also be difficulty in expressing how one feels because you need a very safe, reliable person or environment to do so. Now, another factor that comes into play here is this Chiron at 22 degrees of Aries. It is retrograde. You can see that this Chiron does square Saturn in Cancer. And it is in an opposition to Uranus. It's not quite in an opposition to the Sun or Mars, but it also plays into the story of relationship experiences, because this Chiron in Aries is connecting you to what you need that you're able to independently own and say, this is who I am. And Chiron can bring up difficulty in expressing who you are. And the square to Saturn is what you need at a personal daily level, how you need to feel safe and understood. And this could be like, well, I never felt safe to express what I need, so I won't, and I don't. And instead, I'll focus on doing for them or building my self-identity around others or this relationship because I'm not sure of what I need. And then the Chiron return happens. It actually already happened when you were 49, 50, 51, or it could be underway. And I think it just finished as I'm doing this video in 2025. And it brought you into a deeper connection with yourself, that maybe you're seeing yourself in a new light and understanding who you are, and that it's okay to ask for what you want and to have needs and to switch the dynamic where other people give to you, because there could have been something that prevented you from trusting that you would be provided for. And so it's going into relationships where you can maybe be the one in charge or the one running the show and not be vulnerable and not be open, or at least not have, let's say in a broad sense, that equal giving and receiving, because it isn't known, what you need or what you want. Now, after that Chiron return happens, and for this particular chart, that Chiron in Aries has been a big deal because it's opposed all these planets in Libra. And that's part of the journey with any stellium, is that the transiting planets really leave a mark. They're really working with you intensely over a longer span of time. So Chiron entered Aries in 2018, so it probably was 2019 until now that there were big questions coming up around unconscious relationship patterns, energies, and basically past experiences that formed you. And then it's been this undoing of it and removing what has been detrimental, unhealthy, maybe poisonous, kind of that sense of almost like unconsciously realizing I didn't know I didn't know what I needed, but now I'm coming into deeper connection with what I need. And there's been this beautiful healing, reprogramming, and a new part of yourself coming alive with this Chiron in Aries opposing all these planets in Libra. Would have been squaring the Saturn. So it would have been difficult in realizing this is who I am, this is what I need, and I'm meeting these parts of myself for the very first time in my life. But it's from that you have these beautiful new connections and openings that arrive. And I know too that the planets in Libra were also deeply affected by the transiting Pluto and Capricorn energies that also just ended. So there could have been a lot of uncertainty for all of these Libra energies over the past number of years. When the driving soul need is like, I just want good people. I want good connections. I want good interactions, equal receiving and giving. I want to have the right relationships, but there's been so much work around relationship dynamics here that has involved other people as a way to learn more about your truth and who you are. And so now, this is all going to shift into a whole new chapter, because Pluto will be in Aquarius, trining these Libra energies into 2044. When Pluto starts exactly trining each of these planets, life transformations happen that bring about a whole new level of connection and sharing. So those of you who have early planets in Libra, you're going to have all new people showing up, members of your soul tribe, connections, friendships that are going to be in a more evolved state. And it feels too like part of what you're going to be holding, because I'm seeing it as holding, you're holding a new energy around who you are, that transiting Saturn and transiting Neptune are going to be requiring you to own in these connections. So transiting Saturn in Aries, which is 2025 to 2028, is going to be coming through and will be opposing these planets in Libra. And it's going to be testing your ability to honor who you are and to not go back to a previous version of yourself or to give away your needs or what you want to the relationship. Saturn in Aries is going to ask you to hold who you are now, what you've learned about yourself, and require you to show up with new honesty and new courage to be yourself. This could be perhaps for the first time asking for what you need in a relationship. Maybe that's felt scary. Looking at any people pleasing or patterns of over compromising, which would be self-abandonment, what you've given away for the sake of the relationship. There's going to be strengthening opportunities here. And that's how you'll know you're in the right connections with the right people, because they'll say, absolutely, I hear what you need and what you want. And it's holding yourself with a new level of strength and a new ownership around what you want to experience with others. So I guess to summarize, this is a lifetime of big relationship experiences that are both intense, emotional, and karmic, but lead you to greater self-awareness and understanding around the types of people that you want to share energy with. Perhaps it has been a rather tumultuous road when you're like, all I want are these good relationships, but that's the thing that has eluded me, or that I've been in these multiple phases of growth around. So you're going to have the rewards. There's going to be things that show up here that allow you to have the right people in your life. But if that hasn't been easy, it's like it hasn't been a Hallmark movie. But there's something really timely and beautiful about that. You're also not alone. With the Libra energy, you have to watch out for comparison. The comparison, the FOMO, the thinking everyone else has it easier or everyone else has something I don't. That's not the case. With Libra, you're understanding the good and bad, the pros and cons, how you are improving, and that you're doing this it's like a mass level. I feel it as a collective energy level that's reprogramming what it means to be in right connection with others and to share energy in a way that's mutually healthy and satisfying. So I know this was a lot. I also know that this probably is not your chart, but of course this is just highlighting some of the archetypal themes, and maybe there's something here in this rundown that benefits you or that shines a light on an energy that you are experiencing or that you've been through. That is my driving intention in doing these chart readings, is that you make some new connections in your life and can feel validated as well. So thank you for joining me. I'll be back here with another one of these super stellium soul videos. And do check out the playlist on YouTube if you want to look into more of them. You can find astrology chart by birth years, and you can also find the Super Stellium series as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back here soon.